Welcome. I'm Bev Adams. I own an independent paper crafting business showcasing products from Stampin' Up! I made this card and a few other cards I'm going to show you with products from Stampin' Up! I sell these products and also a few items to make crafting more convenient. I'll have the free directions for you. I usually say free detailed directions, but these are not so detailed this time. I want to show you some strategies as opposed to a specific project. But it'll all be on my website, and you will be able to click the links for the products that I show you to be taken to my online store at Stampin' Up! You'll see where to find all of that at the end of this video, so don't worry about taking notes. It's time to put stamps, ink, and paper together. So I have several cards that I want to show you. This is probably the most complicated. And they are all what is called fancy folds. And they may look intimidating. I want to show you this one in just a minute. This one's your basic fold. The new mini catalog came out and it's got so many wonderful things for you in here. I'm also using products from Celebration. Celebration is a promotion that we have that you can get products from this brochure for free. Most of them are with a minimum order. In the US, it's a $50 order. And I'm going to be using this designer series paper. Let me page through so you can see some more things that you can get for free. These two products are things that you can get with a $100 order. This one because you get both the designer series paper and the stamps. This one because there are 21 greeting stamps in this set, and it's wonderful. But I want to bring you back to the Daffodil Delight paper. This paper and this Daffodil Dream stamp set and the dies, the daffodil dies, they coordinate with this designer series paper beautifully. If you're like me, you want everything, but you don't have to have everything. I wanted to show you a resource that I have on my website about card bases and layers. And this talks about how you can get lots of designs with just a half a sheet of cardstock. If you take this cardstock and you cut it in half this way, you get two card bases, and this is that basic card base that I usually use. But if you cut it the long way, you get this card base. And with any of these, you can have your card going this way or this way or this way. And if you add an extra fold, like I have here, you can have even more options. And this extra fold works with this kind of card too. So in this case, I put the fold in the middle, and that's called a Z fold card. And you can have it go this way, or you can even go this way. And you can make this into like if you cut a little half circle, you can make this into a gift card holder. Instead of this fold, you can score this at 2 3/4 and this one at 2 3/4 and have the divider in the middle. If you're doing it the long way, you're going to be scoring it 2 1/8 on each side, or 2 1/8 and 6 3/8. And you're going to fold both sides to the center. Whether you're cutting your card stock the long way or the short way, you can get a card base, a large layer, and 2 small layers. And then when I cut layers, I cut 1/4 of an inch smaller, and you can get all these different sizes. And I do have this whole list of cutting it down 1/4 at a time. And a lot of times I'll cut my light neutrals with my layers just 1/4 of an inch smaller. So that sounds all very confusing. So let me go back through these cards. This card was cut the long way and just opens up. That's a very simple card. This is one of my large layers. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And this designer series paper is 4 by 5 1/4. This card is just the regular card, and I just made a random fold. And this makes a very pretty design. You can adhere this so it stays put, or you can leave it like a Z fold. You can even fold this side over this way and have this be a little note card holder. So this card is this long way with one fold and a small layer on top. This is the one where I was talking about folding it this way and folding this one the same way so they meet in the middle. And then I have a small layer on top of that. This one was a little bit different. So this is just 1/4 of a piece of cardstock with a large layer, 5 1/4 by 4 of designer series paper. And this one was this one is like this with even another fold on it. And this was a random diagonal fold. And then this piece was just cut at the same angle. And I put one piece here and one piece here. And in this case, I had another designer series paper the same angle. Okay, that's a lot to take in, I think. I did want to show you that one of the ways you can do with this kind of fold is you can put it this way and glue just this bottom half. So it's like that. And you can put a stop on here. So this is called an easel card. So so it looks like that. You can also do it this way and be a Z fold card. You could do this way too. Lots of options with just an extra layer. So I said I wanted to show you some strategies. Going back to the products. For those card samples, I used Celebrating You, which is in the new mini catalog, and it's got some wonderful greetings. And I'm also going to suggest Special Moments, which is the one I'm going to use today. And this is Celebration for 100. And then I want to show you the designer series paper. And it's got some lovely patterns on it. And this is the one I'm going to show you today. I think my favorite of this is this piece, because you can see that it's got like a card that's practically made for you. Sometimes I cut my designer series paper into more useful sizes, and I used to cut it into 6 by 6, but I'm going to show you, I'm now cutting it down into 4 by 6. With 4 by 6, you can get 3 pieces going across this way and 3 more down here, so you can get 6 useful pieces. And this is basically a large layer with a little extra. This fits on with just a little bit of a border around, and then you have a little extra. This would be 5 1/4 for my large layer, and this is 6, so this is an extra 3/4 of an inch that you can use. This designer series paper has the colors that coordinate with it printed right on it, and it is also in the catalog. So if you're not great at putting colors together, Stampin' Up! Has already done it for you. One of the tricky things on this particular one is it's got both Mossy Meadow and Evening Evergreen, and those are both dark greens. And so I grabbed my cardstock sampler. I do sell these cardstock samplers on my website, and this is really helpful for me to decide. So this is the Evening Evergreen here, and so this one doesn't have, I guess this is Mossy Meadow here, so this uses both of them. But I decided to use Mossy Meadow for my project today. I thought I'd use this design of the designer series paper, and it's got Flirty Flamingo in it, so this is one of my small layers. And this is some Very Vanilla that's the smaller layer. So this one's 2 3/4 by 4 1/4. The Very Vanilla is 1/4 of an inch smaller than that, 2 1/2 by 4. So I thought I would cut the long way for this card. So I'm going to put that card cutting plan to use. So 8 1/2, half of that is 4 1/4. $11, half of that is 5 1/2. So I'm going to score at 5 1/2. And this gives me my basic card base. This is the leftover part. Sometimes I would use this for a second card base, but if I want to make it into a large layer, 5 1/4 by 4. And this is 4 1/4. Cut this down to 5 1/2. Half of 5 1/2 is 2 3/4. So here's my 2 small layers. So this is a very useful way of cutting without a lot of scraps. So you do have the 1/4 of an inch from here. You do have the 1/4 of an inch from here and here. This piece of designer series paper is cut at the same large layer size. And I could just use this large layer and maybe add these pieces like that. Or I could do a Mossy Meadow layer here, like that. Either one of those would be lovely. But I'm going to experiment just a little bit. And another way you can adjust these cards is to cut off some. So I thought I would cut off, maybe 1 1/4 inches. And I'll cut off that same 1 1/4 inches from here. And that 1 1/4 inches is not particular. You can cut it off a lot or a little, but if I cut it off at 1 1/4 inches, I can put this piece here. And I could still use this piece here. I can flip one or both of these over, and I think I like it like that. And then I have to decide, do I want to cut this down or not? I think I'm going to get extra fancy and cut this one down as my inside layer. So cut 1/4 of an inch off of this. By the way, that 1/4 of an inch isn't magical either. You can just cut 1/8 of an inch for a tiny, tiny border. And I think I will cut this piece down 1/4 of an inch too. I am literally making this up as I go today because I want to show you that you can. It's pretty easy to get a fancy fold, a fancy pattern without a lot of extra work. Yeah, I think I like that. Another thing I like to do is add a ribbon and an embellishment. In this case, I've got this Flirty Flamingo ribbon from the annual catalog and the new brushed brass butterflies. Hard to say, but really beautiful. I like these because they are very flat, so they are going to be easy to mail without adding a lot of extra postage. I'm actually going to make this card. So I'm going to just add some glue and put this on the inside. And I will need to add another piece here because this Mossy Meadow is really too dark to be writing on. And I think I'm going to tie some ribbon on somewhere. Maybe I'll put it on here. So I'll put this directly onto my card. So you can come up with an extra fancy design just by cutting or just by adding a cut or adding a fold. I want to stamp from Special Moments. So I pulled in just a card to say you're amazing. I couldn't wait for a special occasion. And a lot of times I will stamp with one of the colors in the card, so I could stamp with Mossy Meadow, but there's also a lot of black, so I thought I would stamp with Memento black ink. Let's see. Not bad. I'm going to stamp again. I've got some extra adhesive floating around on my desk, so I don't know what's going on with that. That's much better. So I'm going to just adhere this to my Flirty Flamingo. Or that extra adhesive. Onto the Mossy Meadow. And I'll tie some of this ribbon around here. And I think I'm going to just tie a knot today. And I'll get out my third hand. I'm off the screen, aren't I? Okay, so I'm going to just tie a knot. I usually don't cut off my ribbon. I leave it on the spool until I've tied my knot. And if you pull one side and then snug up the other, you get a very pretty knot usually. And I could have punched from the middle of this one because that will be not showing, but I didn't think to do that, so I'm going to punch from this other piece here. And I'm tempted to punch some Flirty Flamingo to cover up these flowers, but I think I'm going to just leave that like that. And I can't find my regular size dimensional, so I'll use the little ones. And we'll just put this one on here. You know what? I don't want to have these on the end, do I? more casualty of working as you're going. So I need to keep these dimensionals from the end, so I'll put those here. And we'll put that there. And we'll have this leaf going off. Yeah, I think just like that. So when I put this adhesive on here, I want to keep my adhesive where it's going to be on this top layer. And we've got this blank area, so that will be perfect for these brushed brass butterflies. So I will pick those up and have a little cluster of butterflies, I think. So now I need to figure out how big I want this piece in here. This is a large layer. This is a large layer, so it's already cut for, and I just need to see where I need to cut this. So I'm going to just make a little mark so I know where to cut. And I always like to stamp first before I put it in. So it was just a card to say you're amazing. I couldn't wait for a special occasion. I want to be sure to leave space down below to write a little quick note and sign my card. So we'll go ahead and adhere this into the card. A fancy fold designed on the fly for you.